You're listening to the Team Stripes Podcast.
Buddy, this is Ross Grimaldi. With me is Brenden Est, and this is the Team Stripes Podcast. Brenden, how you doing, buddy?
I'm good. What is up with you?
Oh, just living the dream down here in Florida. It is freaking hot every day, and the humidity is killer, and just doing schoolwork. Nothing too exciting.
We're lucky in Texas because it's hot, but at least it's a dry heat, so you're not dying.
So lucky.
I'd rather deal with the dry heat over a humidity all day long.
Yeah, same here. Well, now that we've caught up a little bit, let's shift gears. Let's talk some officiating.
Let's do it.
So, like right now, like what's going on in Texas? You skating at all?
Yeah, so we started back up. It would have been, I guess, June 14th was our first day back, and all we've been doing for past whatever month that will be is anything from, like our youth hockey, our summer season started back up, so that's great. So the kids are out in full force from mites to the 18Us. The Stars, I will give them props. They do a really cool summer league for house league. Is they do half ice games for everybody. Except for mites, they still do their thirds or whatever.
Okay.
But for squirts to 18U, they do half ice games where it's 3-on-3. So it's a lot more small games, and it's actually really fun. Our high school league.
You're just out there dropping pucks then.
Oh yeah, just dropping pucks, and they have a horn that goes off every minute and a half. You go drop that puck, and then after goals, you go drop the puck. It's like a mite game, but they're 18 years old. Really cool.
Nice, that's pretty awesome.
And
yeah, here we're doing men's league, a little bit of youth, like our high school spring league, which is kind of weird for us this year because we're not allowed to do contact, so they're playing no check, and we're reffing it 2-man. Because generally in the springtime we do. Spring, summer, we do 3-man. And the men's league's been nice because everyone's just happy to be there, with that break.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing that did happen at the rink that I predominantly ref at, and of course it was the games that I worked. So on a Tuesday and a Wednesday night consecutively, we had 6 guys test positive one night. The next night, a couple other guys tested positive. So we ended up having to shut the rink down for 2 weeks. And we start back up next week. And then I got a wonderful text message saying, hey, you interacted with a bunch of guys that got tested and they came back positive, so we need you to go get tested before you can ref again. So I got to go get the swab shoved down my nose. So that was fun.
Yeah, we thankfully that I know of haven't had any major issues. Just like you guys, everybody's excited to be back in the beer league. High school, thankfully, they're still allowed to check. But we do 4-man, I guess, during the regular season. So in the summer, we go down to 3-man. So the first few games back were kind of tough because it's like, oh, I haven't skated in 3.5 months. Go skate a 3-man game in the middle. And you're just like, oh, lovely. But we thankfully, that I'm aware of, haven't had any COVID shutdowns or scares since we've opened back up, thankfully.
Well, that's good. Well, hopefully we can just keep rolling and work towards the season. And then with that, why don't you tell us about our guest today?
So our guest is Micheal Miggans. He is a local down here in Dallas, one of my friends, and he works everything from the American League. He does high school down here in Dallas. He does the men's league. He'll even go out and skate an 8U game with newer officials. I believe his actual position is mentor of officials for one of the organizations here in Dallas.
That's pretty awesome. And it was a fantastic conversation that we had. We went for about an hour. And I'm really looking forward to you guys listening to it. We had a lot of fun. I've never talked to the guy before in my life. But what's weird is with officiating, you can talk to somebody for the first time and you feel like you've known them for years through, knowing other people. Like, we all know the same guys. So, and our experiences are so similar. It's like, oh, hey, I've never met you, but now we're we've been buddies for years is what it feels like. So it was a great conversation. Now with that, we'll go ahead and head off and listen to the conversation with Mr. Miggins.
All right, Michael, we're going to jump right into it. You've been working for 6 seasons now, and you're already working the American League. How did you do that?
So my story kind of started just on a whim. I was playing club hockey down in Texas, and our local ref scheduler at the time was assigning our games. And I had refs like way back in the day when I was like 12 or 13 or 14, however early you could start reffing. And I hated it. It was like the worst thing ever. And so I ended up quitting after like half a season. And he saw me in the hallway just in passing at one of the college club games. He's like, hey, man, you should give it a try, like make a little extra money when you're in school. And I was like, yeah, sure, like no problem. And that year, he sent my name in to USA Hockey's ODP. And they started working me on some junior games in the NA3 and the NA. And then after my first season, I think I worked probably close to 30 games part-time. And then the following season, they invited me to training camp, USA Hockey full-time ODP camp. And I lived in beautiful Brookings, South Dakota. And in South Dakota, there is an ECHL team out in Rapid City. And after the North American League showcase, the boss of that league at the time, or our boss at the time, Mike Pierce for the ECHL, came up to me and said, hey, man, we need some local guys out in South Dakota. We'd love to have you. And so, geez, I probably, out of 30 home games, I probably worked 29 of them. And the year after that, the American League contacted me. They knew I was moving back to Texas. And they asked if I wanted to come on staff, and you can't say no to that. And so this has been 2 seasons in the American League and 3 in the Coast League, and here we are.
Wow, way to go from 0 to 60 really quick, eh?
Yeah, and, you know, man, it's all about being nice off the ice. You never know who you're gonna meet.
Ain't that the truth?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Miggins, do you remember who your partners were for your first NA3 game by chance?
No.
Wow, really?
It had to be you.
Yeah, because I remember.
I don't think you were on the first game.
No, I was on like your first or second game, because I remember you came in the locker room and it was me, you, and Candy, John Linder.
No. That wasn't NA3. That was the college club game.
We did the NA3 the first day and then to college, remember?
Oh.
Because I remember you walked in the room and Candy asked me before, like, oh, do you know anything about Miggins? And I was like, no, never really heard of him. Like, he's from Dallas, obviously. And you walk in the room and you're like, sup, guys? And I was like, do you know what you're doing? You're like, nope, never 3-manned before.
Well, at the time, they threw me right into it. So I don't even think you're supposed to dress up and be like clean shaven and everything. And I'm pretty sure I had like a beard. I wore like shorts and flip flops to the game, like extremely underprepared for this. I don't even think I had like a patch or anything.
No, you didn't.
Good.
Well, let's talk about the ODP to start. I spent quite a few years doing that. I started with the AJ and the Met back in 2009 with Allman was the boss there. So
yeah.
talk about your experience, doing the ODP.
Man, it was such a grind. Like it was long days and longer nights. The travel's brutal. Man, I forget who told me this quote, but I think it was one of the Naylor brothers. I don't know if you ever worked with either of the Naylor brothers from North Dakota.
No, I never made it out there.
I'm pretty sure it was one of them. They said that this is talking about the ODP. They said this is the best job except for the 60 minutes that we're on the ice. Yeah, like that holds a lot of truth to it, because I met some of my best friends I met through the ODP, and like you're this little band of brothers, and like you grind it out together, so you really get to know each other. one of the guys I live with in Brookings, Riley Yurkovich, like I'm officiating his wedding at the end of next year. So like you meet some pretty cool guys, lifelong friends. So in that aspect, the ODP is awesome, and the hockey's good. Like it's not bad hockey. It's the best hockey you're gonna get, south of the border.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
It's I my first year in the ODP was 2008, 2009, and I still talk to a decent amount of the guys I worked with all the way back then. Like our boss for the ECHL now, Stephen Thompson, I worked with him in the AJ and the Met back then. Like, and some of the other guys too. It's definitely one of those things, like you said, it's a brotherhood. Like we're out there grinding. We're the travel, the drives, the calling each other at 2 a.m. while you're driving to make sure you stay awake. It's just, man, it's so much fun. And then obviously living in the apartments gets to be pretty interesting, having new guys come through that you don't know. And then, by the end of that weekend, like, it's like you've known each other your whole lives. Like it's wild.
Yeah. It's such a tight knit group of guys. Cause again, you go through battle for an hour, and then all you do on your, 5-hour ride back from Bismarck, North Dakota is just gossip about how terrible it was and look at the score sheets of every other game that's been happening in the league.
Oh, I know. Like when I was working the SP full time, after games, like if I was in the car with somebody, like we'd be looking at score sheets and calling the other guys, dude, what happened in your game? Like, dude, what is this on your score sheet?
I love calling people, like looking at the score sheet, seeing that they had just a gong show, calling the other car and being like, how was your game tonight, guys? And they're like, oh yeah, it was fine. Like nothing really happened. And you're like, okay. Like
the score sheet says otherwise.
Yeah.
Well, it says on the score sheet you guys had a goalie fight. How is that nothing out of the ordinary? Good times. That's awesome. And then from there, like obviously getting Piercy right away too, and saying, hey, we want you to work the coast, and you hadn't even been working that long. Like, what was that like doing your first pro hockey game?
Actually, it's a really funny story, because I wasn't scheduled for my first coast game until the day before it happened. And I was working.
No nerves leading up to it then.
Yeah. So like I was nervous because like I got my box of gear, like a helmet and a sweater and everything, and like it was a little nerve-wracking. And that weekend, I think I was working a Wednesday, Friday, Saturday set in Brookings.
Okay.
And so Wednesday came around, and it was like a roommate game. So it was me and my roommate and then someone else. And we were working like a home game in Brookings, a Null game. And I get a text from Dan Monticelli.
Yep.
And
good old Mono.
All it says is, you've been flexed. And I'm like, what the heck does that mean? And then like I immediately get a schedule confirmation, and it says I got moved off the Brookings game to Rapid City game. So like no time to prepare. I didn't even have the rule book at the time.
Oh God.
And it's just like, all right, man, good luck. 7.5-hour drive. Have fun. And so that
fantastic.
That was it. So that was the longest, loneliest drive I've ever done in my life. Just contemplating everything I've done up until that point. And then I don't even remember my first game. Like I could not tell you anything about it.
Sometimes that's just how it goes. Like you're so nervous, you just kind of black out. And you said you had a 7.5-hour ride to the game.
Yeah, I think it was.
Were you out in Brookings then, or?
Yeah, I was out in Brookings, and so Rapid City's on the other side of the state.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and so it was just nothing but cornfields, and no, that's it. It's just cornfields.
Just cornfields.
There's nothing else in South Dakota.
Yeah.
Yeah,
man, that's awesome.
And the biggest change was going from like youth rinks. I worked in youth rinks my entire life to, it was the Rushmore Civic Plaza Center or something. Like
Yeah.
it was a venue.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go from a couple hundred people to, 3, 4, 5, 6,000 people, and you're just
Oh
like,
yeah, you're lucky if there was a couple hundred people at those Brookings games.
yeah, for sure.
It was just like the high school team practicing on the other rink, like looking through the glass, and those were the fans.
Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Me getting into the SPHL was a little interesting. I ended up getting stationed in Mississippi in the Air Force, and Brand was still in charge of the ODP at the time, and it was one of those things. The team in Mississippi or in Memphis dropped down, so my first game I got to work with one of my best friends.
That's sick.
My buddy David Meacham, and it was interesting because they didn't draw very well. So we're in this big arena and there's like 500 people there. So yeah, I tell you though, that first experience is always fun. Like,
yeah.
And then, it's crazy too. Like when you transition from working like youth hockey and like juniors, well, youth hockey to juniors, there's a little bit more rapport because you get to see the players over and over again.
Yeah.
And they're kind of like they're growing into being adults. But then when you get into that pro hockey mentality, you're seeing the same guys all the time. You're just as much a part of the game as they are. And like you're battling too, and they get that. And then when you build that rapport, like, we're all linesmen. So, your goalies and your goons are your best friends, right?
Absolutely.
So, talking to those guys, like I remember my first year, we had a guy on Memphis, McQuinney was his last name. He was a goalie. This dude was an absolute wacko, but he was so much fun to be around. It was great. It made the experience a little easier for me because I built a rapport with him. And actually, Scott Darling, the guy that won the cup with Chicago a couple of years ago, he was actually the backup goalie for Memphis, my first game in the SPHL.
That's so nuts.
Yeah. Yep. So I'm like, hey, I helped him get to the NHL.
Yeah. Well, it's cool
Indirectly.
because at some point when you're working pro hockey, it becomes less of officials and players and more of just coworkers.
Yes, exactly.
Like, at the end of the day, like everyone's just doing a job.
Yep.
And no one's there to like screw anybody over. Like you're just there to get through things together.
Mm-hmm. Yep, especially in those dog days of the season when it's, I mean, obviously we all want to be there, but you don't necessarily want to be there, if that makes sense.
Yeah.
Like you're just like, oh, it's the middle of January. It's cold as shit outside. I drove 7 hours to get here. I'm just hoping for a nice, easy skate tonight.
Yeah.
And the boys are just like annoyed that they have to be there.
Yeah. Yeah. The worst is those the kids games. I don't know.
Oh yeah, at 10:30 in the morning when there's 6,000. Yeah, with like 6,000 shouting fourth graders in the building.
Oh, they cheer for goals from the home team and the away team. Like they don't care. They're just happy to not be in school. You're just like, what am I doing here?
Hey, at least by the third period, it's quiet though.
True.
Yeah, usually.
Because the one time I did that, it was in Corpus, and they set the league record for attendance, and it was 6,000 some odd fans. First 2 periods, just absolute mayhem. You couldn't hear yourself think. We come out for the third period, skate the hot lap. You could hear a pin drop. It was beautiful.
I gotta go to lunch, man.
Oh yeah. And then you go to lunch after, and you're like, what do you do with the rest of your day?
Yeah, dude, those are tough days because you start drinking at like noon 30.
Yep. The worst, I think, for doing those was because, we get to the rink like 2 hours, hour and a half before the game. So, 10:30 start. You're at the rink at 8:30 in the morning.
Oh, yeah.
You're like, what am I doing here?
It's just weird. It's weird.
You see the players and they're walking in like their pajamas.
Well, my thing is I can't even take my pregame nap that day because there's no time for napping.
No. And then you're walking in with your coffee and all that, and it's just like, okay, well, I guess I got to do a hockey game. Then, and like you said, you have no idea what to do with the rest of your day.
Right.
Amazing.
Yeah, those games are a mess.
What so then going to the American League, like not a level I've worked, but like I've done a little bit of like lightning training camp and stuff. Like what's the jump like going from starting out in junior, then you go to the ECHL, and then you're in the American League? Like compare the jumps to those three.
So I'll try to compare it just to everywhere I've been. The NA3 is just the jungle. Like that's just, it's chaos on ice.
Yeah.
And then the NAL, the North American League, is the jungle and chaos on steroids. Like it's just like the puck's over there. I'm gonna skate as fast as I can do it, and I don't care who's in my way. And then the USHL is a little more controlled and methodical.
Mm-hmm.
But then you get into pro hockey, and everything slows down. Like everything is so slow, because those guys would rather pass a puck 100 feet than skate anywhere. Yes. And so it's like everything is so much more planned out. Like you could read play so much better. The American League is much faster than the Coast League, but it's very similar hockey.
Yeah. It's always amazed me how it's easier to work the high level games than it is to work the easier as in the sense of like reading the play and like positioning and all that kind of stuff.
Oh, absolutely. You think everything gets faster and faster and faster the higher you go up, but especially with my first American League game, like it was unbelievable how much slower it was than juniors. And juniors, it's chaos. Like you never know where the puck is going. But the second you get into pro hockey, you can read play so much better. Like you know where the puck's gonna be 3 passes before it gets there. And so it's, in that sense, it's easier. Not to say that those guys aren't fast, because they're light years faster than I am. But it's just so much different, the style going from juniors to professional.
Yeah. Well, it's a different type of fast, if that makes sense. Like the puck's moving around faster. Obviously they skate faster, but it's the way everything develops, it's easier to read than the chaos of, whether it be the NA3 or the NA or up to the USHL. It's way different. It's just a crazy transition, especially from, when you're doing your first few professional games to, going reflecting on, man, okay, in junior I would do this, but in pro it's completely different.
Man, you want another good first-time story? My first American League game was in Cedar Park, the Texas Stars. Okay. And I was working – it was another Dan Monticelli, hey, you got flex thing. And so it's like Mono knows when I'm working a league for the first time. He's just like, how can I mess with this guy? And so I was working College Station NA3 Friday, Saturday, Sunday. And – And
what
there
a beautiful
happened to be,
set that is.
well, it switched to NA3 Friday, American League Saturday, NA3 Sunday. So I went from arguably the lowest level of juniors to the second highest level of professional, back to the lowest level. And going from the
let's talk about that Sunday game. How slow was going from the American League to the NA3?
So going from the NA3 to the American League was eye-opening. Like, again, it was one of those things, like, I don't remember the game until like the third period, until I like got into it. And I'm like, oh wow, this is sick. And then Sunday I go back to like a 4 p.m. start or whatever it is in the NA3, and it is watching grass grow. Like you're sitting there like, oh man. The thing that I love about the NA3 though that keeps me into it is you never know what's going to happen in that
Oh
league.
no, you definitely don't. It's like here we have the USPHL, which is
Yeah.
about where the NA3 is, and you have no idea what's going to happen.
Yeah.
No
Yep,
clue.
Yep.
And I like the fun thing for us with that league is the USPHL uses the NCAA rule book.
Yeah.
So I've actually gotten to give a goalie a dime and make him sit in the box. I was so pumped when I got to do it too, because I had never done it before. And his defenseman two hands a guy like borderline major slash, and the goalie yells, "Are you effing kidding me?" I'm like, nah, I'm not dealing with that. And it was from across the ice. Everybody heard it. So I dimed him, and got to make him sit in the box. That was
I
fun.
love it. Did the goalie not know either? Like, did you have to be like, "Hey man, by the way, you got to go serve that"?
It was funny because I skated over the bench and I looked at the coaches who are guys that I've known for a very long time. I grew up actually playing against one of them. And I go, I just gave him a 10. He goes, yeah, I know. He's got to go to the box. And the goalie went. So I guess it wasn't his first time. So the goalie
That's
knew.
arguably worse.
Yes.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's just wild. Like with the NA3 and like the USPHL, you never know what you're gonna get.
No, I've had goalies like flip nets.
Oh,
I've had sticks get yard sailed. Like, it's just that league. It's so much fun though.
oh,
Like,
it is.
I will work an NA3 game forever because they're so much fun to work.
Yep.
And I love it because typically the kids in that league are great. Like, they know they're not going to the NHL, and like they're just like they're really good kids off the ice, psychopaths on the ice.
Oh, for
But they're
sure.
like, but they know their role in that league, and they're having fun. They're just kids who love hockey, and so I absolutely love working the NA3.
That's awesome. Yeah. It's funny. Like, it's funny. You know, they know they're not going to the show. Like, I'm trying to remember who said it, but a buddy of mine was telling me like the mentality to have with players, you know, not in the NHL, but down from it. There's a reason why they're there. Like, you know, a guy in the American League might not have X factor. That's why he's not in the NHL, or an ECHL guy might not have this. That's why he's in the ECHL, not the American League. So like dealing with those all the way down to the NA3, you nailed it on the head. Those kids are psychos on the ice, which feeds into the fact that you have no idea what's going to happen in that particular game.
No.
Like, I remember working the AJ and the Met way back in the day doing a Sunday game in Troy, New York. And I couldn't tell you who my partners were. I just know we were in Troy. They usually would do like a 10 or 11 a.m. game on a Sunday. And I'd end up reffing a decent amount of those just because I lived like 5 minutes from that rink.
Yeah.
And I'll never forget it. We had a couple of scrums, and finally, after I think the third one, I blow the whistle, throw my arms in the air and yell, "That's enough. I'm not dealing with your bull crap today. It's a Sunday morning. Like, let's go. Let's get out of here. There's football on." And one of the guys on the ice goes, "Oh shit, Ross is pissed." And the rest of the game, neither team said boo to each other.
I love it. Those kids get it. Like, they understand why they're there and what the league is, and they just they get it. They absolutely get it, which is awesome. And speaking of football on the ice, Ash, you worked in Lafayette, right?
Not yet.
Louisiana?
In Louisiana, yeah.
I have not done an NA3 game there. I did the Ice Skaters back when they were in the SP.
Okay. Oh yeah.
But I'm very familiar with Killer and Greco and Worley, who are out there.
Man, I love Greco. I got the pleasure of working with him for the first time this past season, and just a gem.
Isn't he a beauty?
Oh, he's great. You want to talk about murder ball? That guy's just, and it's great. Like the first period is awful. Like everyone's hacking and whacking and like there's blood everywhere and like no penalties are being called. But then the second period rolls around and all the kids are too tired and hurt to do anything the rest of the game. So they're just like, okay, man, like just get us out of here.
Yep.
It's great. But the whole football thing is now that Lafayette is like so far away from any other teams, they do Friday, Saturday, Sunday sets, or no, they do Saturday, Sunday, Monday sets, which is great.
Okay.
Because they have TVs next to the scoreboard.
Okay.
So Saturday night during the game they have college football on, and then Sunday they have NFL going on, and then Monday they have the Monday night game going on in the rink during the game.
During the game.
During the game.
That's amazing. So like half the guys are sitting on the bench, just staring at the scoreboard.
Yeah, God forbid LSU or like the New Orleans Saints are playing, and you are so irrelevant in that city that it doesn't matter what you do.
Oh, ain't that the truth?
Yeah.
Working games in the Cajun Dome was a good time. I'll never forget the first time I got hit by a gator. They used to remember. Let's see, the '96 playoffs with the Florida Panthers when they threw rats on the ice.
Yeah,
if you recall that. Well, they started doing that in Lafayette years and years ago, where they would throw little gators on the ice, so they'd sell them for $1. So, like when they would score a goal, it happened to me a few times getting hit.
Yeah,
like they'd score up, I just got hit by a gator.
That still happens down here.
Yeah, they still do that in most of the North American leagues now.
I was just saying, every southern barn I've been in, like Odessa has carrots.
Oh my goodness.
Oh, Shreveport does these like
the
shrimp thing. Shreveport has these things.
Oh, that's great.
They hurt. These things hurt. Corpus has like a massive stingray. Like it's
awesome.
It's insane.
The worst is Amarillo because they have
with the bolt. These things, these ones.
Yeah, they're just Nerf balls.
Oh, they just rock it off your head.
Hard.
Oh my god, that's fantastic.
Yeah, you go and hide there, and you just feel like pink, 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 pink.
It's like there's a bunch of professional wiffle ball players that live in Amarillo.
100%.
Just rip these things at you.
That's the best part of Amarillo, though, I think.
And Crush.
Oh, you love Crush.
It's great.
I have a question. When you were in the American League, what was your oh shit moment of like, I'm one step below the NHL, and like, was there a certain player that you like looked at the face off and you were like, weren't you in the NHL last night? Like, what are you doing down here?
So we threw Rupe Hintz into the box by accident. We sent the wrong guy to the penalty box. Rupe Hintz is like now starting for the Dallas Stars. Like he's sick. He's doing great in the NHL. And he had just broken into the American League. And he was a center, and he was a terrible center. Like, we would toss him on every single face-off. And one face-off that we did not toss him, he won the draw back, and the defenseman shot it out of the zone. And for whatever, we were not prepared for this. Like, we were joking in the locker room, like, should have probably been preparing a little more. And for whatever reason, we were just like, okay, you're going to the box. And he didn't argue. He didn't do anything. He just went right over and sat in the box. And that was kind of weird because like the next weekend, I'm watching like a Dallas Stars game, and there he is just on TV doing his thing. Yeah. And you get it a lot in the American League. Like guys it's a revolving door. Like players go up and down all the time.
Yeah, whether they're going up to the show or guys from the coast are coming up to the American League. It's like,
yeah. And I would say not as many go from the coast to the American League as American League to the NHL, but there's still a few.
Yeah.
And I love seeing coast players in American League games because like they know you, like they know the referees, like where the referees are. And so for the most part, they'll come up to you during the game and be like, hey man, like you work this league? Like, how cool is that? Like, both of us are here, like, in the same league. Like, it's awesome, dude. Yeah.
Yeah.
So
For sure.
it's neat, those like connections that you make with different teams. Like,
Yeah.
everybody's excited for other people to move up. You should be. Like, it's a cool thing.
Yep. This year working Solar Bears games, there's a defenseman that plays for the Solar Bears, and I see him like, that last name is really familiar. This kid's name, Kuali is the last name, or Kukali or whatever. I go over to him like, hey, do you have an older brother? I was, oh yeah. Like, did he play in the SPHL? Yeah. Oh, okay, cool. I know your brother. I refed him for a few years.
Yeah.
So like, I was like, tell your brother I said hello. Yeah, it's funny. And then I've run into one or two guys in the coast that were in the SP when I was there. They're like, oh, hey man, what's going on? It's good to see you. Yeah, man, it's
like,
been a minute.
You think the hockey world is small. The reffing world
even smaller
is a microscope. Like, it's just unreal.
Yeah, it's a pyramid, obviously, as you go up.
Yeah.
Less and less people. And then, the longer you're in this, the more people you meet. And you can almost play the, 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon with any referee.
Yeah.
Like you mentioned Riley. I've worked with him, I think, once or twice in the coast. Like, so it's one of those things, like, everybody knows everybody.
Yes. Yeah. Even I know people I haven't even met just through locker room stories and word of mouth. Like, we gossip like a sorority. Like,
oh, ain't that the truth?
Yeah. Everybody knows everybody. Like, everybody knows everything. Like, it's great.
Yeah, it's definitely a good time. So locally, do you do anything like working with like the younger officials, or do you teach seminars? Like, what do you do, maybe to give back, or, like, do you have any goals with like some of your younger officials in the area or anything like that?
Oh, absolutely. Like, the local organization got me where I am today. And so like, I owe everything to it. And I love helping new kids. And so I started like a Facebook page down here for officials development. Okay. And it's crazy to see the tools that we have nowadays versus just 5 years ago when I started. Like, Live Barn is huge down here in DFW. And so we could get clips from like adult games and youth games and high school games, and I'll clip stuff and I'll put it on the Facebook page for training videos and for learning rules and everything. And so the technology has helped with a lot of it, but the majority of stuff that I'm doing is just trying to get new people involved and to learn the game of hockey. Because we're having, which I'm sure the entire country is, a hard time getting new younger faces to ref. Like, it's a hard sell.
And I mean,
like,
that's
you like getting yelled at for a living.
That's the thing, across the board with all sports, not just ours.
Yes.
Like, and I tell you, it's amazing, like, having those tools like Live Barn and stuff like that in the building to be able to, show clips, and like being able to, like, guys getting to see themselves work. And then too, I feel like having that kind of like the Live Barn stuff specifically can almost hold coaches and parents a little more accountable with how they're acting with yelling at officials. It's it definitely, like, the attrition rate is something that needs to be fixed. But if any one of us had the answer to it, we'd all be millionaires. Well, not millionaires, but USA Hockey or Hockey Canada would be very thrilled to have an answer to the solution.
And the problem is, I don't think there's an answer. Like, I don't know what to do.
What do you think about? Did you see what came down, I guess, the other night? How we're doing all virtual seminars, I guess, this year. No skating.
No, I didn't even see that. I
okay.
Think it was coming.
Yeah, I believe USA Hockey put it out there, maybe on one of their Zoom casts, where and I asked our state supervisor about it here, and it sounds like, yeah, we're going to be doing mass Zoom calls for our seminars. And I read the closed book is going to be, once you have to take it within 7 days of doing your seminar, and you get one attempt at it.
Right.
And then no skating test for level 4. So I think we're going to have a huge amount of level 4s this year, which isn't necessarily a bad thing.
No. I might actually be able to pass the test this year now.
Oh, there you go. There you go. That oh man, the testing at USA High, like those things sometimes are so hard. One of the open book questions last year got me really good. It was defending team shoots the puck down the ice from its side of the center red line and it crosses the goal line. Where's the face-off? And I was just like, that's icing? So end zone face-off? No, the answer was center ice because it was a goal. It's like, it didn't say it went into the net. It just said it crossed the goal line.
It's almost like USA Hockey it's like they want you to get it wrong. Like,
well, I don't think they want you to get it wrong, but they definitely like throwing those questions in.
Yeah. Yeah, I would love to be a fly on the wall for their meeting when they're writing all of these questions.
Yeah.
And the one guy's just like, how can we make this worded better? And someone's just like, I don't know, throw in 2 more double negatives and then we'll call it a day.
Yes. That's awesome. It's definitely an adventure every time we take those tests.
Well, plus it gets hard when you're working multiple leagues, because last year
what? Let's talk about that, because someone on the Facebook group wanted to ask how do we as officials prepare for, let's say in a weekend, like for you have an ACHA game, NA3 game, and an American League game. Obviously 3 completely different rule books. What do you do to prepare yourself for those games?
Well, I think there's 2 things you can do. You could either know the rules and study and be prepared, or do what I do and just not open a rule book at all and keep it less confusing and just call things that seem to be right.
Yes.
No, but I think what I actually do is I made a cheat sheet. Like, it's all the differences of rules, because once you get into stuff that's not youth, like there's little subtleties that make a huge difference in games.
Yes. For sure.
The American League is now any puck out of play in the attacking zone, no matter who it goes off of, stays down low. Like, everything is down low except high stick hand passes.
Mm-hmm.
And then you go to college, which is, what is it? Attempted shot.
Yeah, attempted shot. It has to be,
stays low.
Yeah, it has to be an attempt at the net.
Yeah. So for me as a linesman, like, the majority of the cheat sheet is linesman calls. Like, I don't. I should. I don't necessarily study as much as I should about the differences of penalties, like what. Yeah. Yeah. So the majority of my cheat sheet is linesmaning, hybrid icing, pucks out of play.
Hey, was that a Chris Allmanism? Linesmaning?
That was up there with it. Yeah.
Yeah, it's definitely like it's a cheat sheet. Or I remember going to a camp years ago up in Canada that a bunch of NHL guys used to run, and Paul Dvorsky, he said, and I'll never forget this, I just don't call the rules I don't know.
I mean, that's the only way to get it right.
Yeah.
I'm not going to call it if I don't know what I'm supposed to call here.
Yep.
Yeah. Maybe don't do that every single play.
Oh, no, not at all. And when you don't know it, learn it.
Yeah.
So don't always just rely on, I don't know the rules, so I can't call it. But, you can get away with it once or twice, and then obviously you need to go out there and figure it out. because
So I'm a huge fan of like the pregame locker room. Like
Yep.
I don't my warm up consists of like a cup of coffee and some light stretching and a Theragun. I bought a Theragun, but that's
there you
another
go.
story. Yeah, and so like that's a great time to talk to the guys about the rule differences, because I guarantee you the 3 other guys or the 2 other guys you're working with, this isn't the only league they work either.
Yeah, exactly.
And so like when you can riff off each other, it helps you remember what you're about to do so much better.
And especially like if you're working with guys you don't know, like sitting there doing that rules discussion, you're going to get to know each other. You're going to feel each other out.
Yeah.
And again, then you have to get on the ice and go to battle, and then hope everything goes all right. Where you're all not looking at each other like, okay, what's the rule here? Because I don't know.
And I love, for whatever reason, either the hockey gods or just dumb luck, like if you talk about some stupid rule that never happens ever,
and then it happens in that game.
Guaranteed it's happening the first 5 minutes of that game.
Yep.
And you're all going to be like, I know this one. I know.
We just looked it up.
Yeah.
And then you can go to the coach and be like, it's on this page in the rule book.
Yes. 13.1 subsection B. Like, I know that for a fact.
Yep.
Like, wow, this guy really knows the rules.
And meanwhile, you're like, I didn't know that 10 minutes ago.
Yeah. That's literally the only rule I know today.
Yes, that's exactly it. Yeah, it's funny. It's always funny how that works.
Yep. Yeah. Yeah.
Let's see. So like you said, your pregame is just like just sitting around talking to the boys, light stretching and some coffee.
Yeah.
So no kicking the ball around or anything like that.
Man, so starting in the ODP, I had this like weird quirky tradition where like it was just my thing to go do a lap around the rink, which is great when you're working at like youth rinks.
Yeah.
But then as I started progressing, it was like
The rink
civic
got
centers, and then the rink. And I'm not a runner by any means, and so and Amarillo, the rink in Amarillo is like a convention center and a theater and a hockey all in one building. So you're
and now the baseball stadium too.
And now a baseball stadium's connected. So you're running for like 30 minutes and too much. And so I found that some light stretching, a coffee, the stretching's a big thing. And then, we do a lot of driving in this line of work. So I bought a Theragun, which is basically like a massage gun.
I've seen those.
Just to get the muscles. Yeah, get the muscles moving. Some people bring soccer balls. The problem with those is that they're big. They take up a soccer ball amount of room in your bag. And so me and my roommate in Brookings, we actually started hacky sacking.
Okay.
And so, because they're tiny, they fit into whatever pocket you want to. But the problem is, no one ever wanted to hacky sack with us. So it just, So it'd just be me and like maybe a couple guys in Rapid City. With
I never got to play the soccer warm-up game because I am terrible at it. So I'd usually, like, the guys be kicking the ball around and they'd be like, oh, come. I'd get one kick in and, okay, I'm out.
Yeah.
So sometimes we'd play like wall ball or just kind of I'd watch them kick the ball around and get it if I could.
Wall ball was a big thing in the South in junior hockey. That was like the thing to play.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to do it. We had a good place in Lafayette in that building to do it. Not Memphis, Huntsville, we do it outside every once in a while.
Yeah.
But my favorite warm-up would be when I was working in Biloxi in like January, February, sitting on the beach before the game and sending pictures to the boys doing the games in the AHL and the NA, being like, wish you were here. Meanwhile, they're driving through a blizzard. I'm literally in warm-up shorts and flip-flops sitting on the beach, and I got a game in 30 minutes.
That's the greatest thing about the South is that you don't have to deal with – because when I lived up in South Dakota, like, you couldn't warm up outside. Like, it there was 3 feet of snow.
Well, in
outside most
Rapid
of the
City,
doors.
it's like 70 below zero with 100-mile-an-hour crosswind.
Oh yeah, it's terrible. It's terrible. And so everything was inside of a rink, and you kind of have to pick and choose what you do then, because you're fighting against like arena staff, and there's like
Yep.
all the people for concessions, and so I can't tell you how many places we've gotten kicked out because
That's
we were
funny.
playing sewer next to like the beer cart. The guy's like, "Look, man, I got a job to do," and we're like, "Yeah, so do we." And we
That's
lose
awesome.
that argument every time.
Yep. Oh yeah, yeah. We definitely. It's definitely fun. Like in the different buildings, I would usually do like a walk around the concourse.
Yeah.
Like, and it's funny because like you're in your warm ups, like or your unders or whatever, and you're walking around and people are looking at you like, is that a player or? I had one kid, can I take a picture with you? I'm like, nah, dude, I'm just the referee. You don't want a picture with me. Actually, no.
Never mind.
No, I'm just the linesman. I'm here to drop pucks. I'm nobody important. Like, can you sign my stick? Like, no, I'm just the linesman. Like,
there's actually a little ref fan in Tulsa, Oklahoma for the Coast League. And he wears like a little ref jersey.
That's amazing.
He dressed as a referee for the Halloween game.
Oh, that's awesome.
Either the police officer that walks us out to the rink for the start of periods, or someone like pointed him out to us. And so we like invited him down to the locker room after the game.
Yes.
He's like, yeah, like I love reffing. Like the refs are so cool and everything. And we're like, okay, first off, that's weird, but like I'm honored. And so ever since then, like we signed his little ref sweater that he made. And so every game, if there's a new ref that he doesn't have, he'll come down to the locker room and get like a
get
signature.
it signed.
Yeah, he'll get it signed on.
Oh
his
man,
shirt.
that's so cool.
Like you don't have many stories like that, but the few stories that there are, like they warm your heart for sure.
Yeah, that's pretty damn cool.
Yeah. Oh man, okay, I have one more story about little refs. So we're working in Cloquet, Minnesota. Is that right? Is that a city in Minnesota? I think it's a city. Anyway,
no idea.
The Wilderness play up there, a team in the North American League, and we skate out there for the national anthem, 3-man, so it's linesman, ref, linesman, and they introduce these 2 mite teams to go stand with the home and visiting team. And after they announce the team, there's a little crew of mite referees that come out.
Oh my God, that's amazing.
There's like an 8-year-old ref and like a 2 6-year-old linesmen. And like it was super cool. And so after the game, they're like, hey, come to the locker room, like we'll give you a puck or like a whistle or something. And so the 8-year-old referee, he wants to be a referee, comes in the locker room, and we're like, hey, do you have any questions? And his dad's like, yeah, ask him whatever you want to ask. And the 8-year-old kid pulls out a notepad, turns to the referee, and goes, with 15 minutes left, you missed this tripping call, and this check shouldn't have happened. And why didn't you call this goal? Roasted him.
Oh, he got an evaluation from an 8-year-old.
From an 8-year-old, and it was tearing him apart. And like we like look at his dad, and the dad's like, "Oh, sorry. Like, oh, I didn't know this was gonna happen." Yeah, dude.
That's unreal.
Absolutely savage.
And you know what? It was probably the most brutally honest evaluation that referees ever gotten.
Yeah, absolutely. Oh, it was nuts. So that was kind of a funny kid ref story.
Oh my God, I can't even I don't even know where to go from that.
That's the one you just pack your gear and go home and retire.
Right?
It's funny how like going through this line of work, you have the weirdest things happen to you. Like just the weirdest stories come from this job, and you meet like the most unusual people, and it's just I could sit here for hours just sharing stories about all the podunk cities I've been through, and like the weird restaurants I stopped to eat, and the terrible hotels I've stayed at. Like it's great.
Good old ODPHotels.com specials.
Yeah.
Hey, Miggins, one last thing before we let you go here. What is? Because you have a daughter. What?
I think he froze.
Uh-oh. Oh, he froze. Uh-oh. He's frozen. Where's my mouse? There it is. He's like, froze. That's great. I love this kid.
Yeah, he's good people, man. I'm gonna have to come out to Texas and work with you guys.
Oh, 100%. Apparently the meeting.
Ken
Who?
Reidhart. Ken Reidhart's your RIC.
Yeah, he's our
right?
RIC. Does he want to come on?
I worked a tournament for him in 2008 out there. I flew out for a AAA tournament.
Oh, that was still when he was like working locally in Dallas then.
Yeah. Yep. I met let's see who worked that tournament. Pettigrew was there.
I'm on my phone now.
We killed your laptop. Let's see. Pettigrew was there. Who else was there? We ran into Gord Dwyer one night at Hooters.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
He still does a little bit down here.
Yeah, because he lives there, right?
Yeah, him and Gibby are the two guys here.
Okay. Yeah, we were out and one of the guys texted Gord, was like, "Hey, come to Hooters," and Gord walks in and all the waitresses knew him.
Not surprised.
I'm sure he banged every single one of them.
I was just saying, I'm not surprised. Hey, Miggins, turn your phone land. Yes. Oh. Then go with you. Okay. Don't do that. Now you're sideways.
Hit the rotation lock.
Oh, jeez. There we go. All right. Okay. I just have one more question. How old's your daughter? I can't remember. She's 3 now?
2 years old.
Okay.
2 years and like a couple months.
Okay. So you have a 2-year-old daughter. How do you manage that with officiating and traveling and all that?
I married a very forgiving wife.
Do you have a good story about maybe 2 years ago when you were going to full-time camp, what you did to her?
What I did to my wife?
Yeah, when she was pregnant and you just left?
That's pretty much what happened.
Yeah, do you want to talk about that and how great that went over?
Let's see. I mean, not great. So there's as a rule in the ODP, if you're dating someone at the time that you're in the ODP, one of two things are going to happen. You're either not going to wind up with that woman, or you're going to marry that woman. Like, and for me, luckily, it was the latter. And we ended up getting married. We have a kid. We still live together. I'm still repping hockey. So it's funny how the ODP can really bring people together or just tear them apart.
Sounds about right.
Yeah. But my roommate met his now fiance in Bismarck, North Dakota, where one of the junior teams are. And they dated while he was in the ODP 2 years full time. And now they live together in Kansas City.
Nice. That's
awesome. So it's not like it's not an unusual thing for marriages to come out of this.
One of my favorite things when we would go out after the games would be to like make up a bullcrap story.
Oh,
like when we were in Lafayette, we'd always go to the Twin Peaks, and we had the girls at Peaks convinced that we were Bible salesmen.
So I would always say that I'm a powdered peanut butter salesman.
That's good. That's good.
So Liam Sewell, I don't know if you've ever worked with Liam Sewell.
I know him. I
Yeah.
haven't worked with him, but yeah, I know of him.
So people would ask him, they're like, "Oh, what do you do?" And he would say, "You know the Lifesaver candies? I punch the holes in the middle of those."
That's awesome.
Yeah, I'm trying to remember. There's curtain salesman. There's
Carpet salesman.
carpet salesman. Yeah, shower rod people. Yeah, it's just it's almost like whoever can come up with the funnier one. That's the one we use.
That's the one you roll with.
Yeah.
I just remember we did Bible salesman in Louisiana because it's a Bible Belt
it
state,
works.
and it worked. It was ridiculous, but it was fun.
It's great, but those are the stories you get on the road. Like it's, you go through battle for an hour, and then you gotta let off steam somehow. And that's what we did.
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
It's definitely like I got one of the kids out of here. He's in the ODP now, and I remember talking to him earlier this year, or back when the last season started, and just telling him, "Hey, man, enjoy it, because I would give anything to be in your shoes right now, going through it all over again."
Oh, absolutely.
Like, I wish I was 23 again, starting in the NA and working my way up like that. I would do it all over again. Because of how much fun it is.
Yeah. The people you meet and the things you do is just, it's great.
Like, this community, as far as officiating goes, means the world to me. Like, most of my long-lasting friendships have all been hockey referees, and it's fun. And through doing this podcast and talking to everybody, we really hope that we put the message out there to, our new guys that we discussed earlier having trouble keeping. Stick with it.
Yeah.
It sucks when you're that 14, 15, 16-year-old referee getting yelled at, or even being a little older and just getting into it. Yeah, it sucks getting yelled at and dealing with all that, but stick it out, have your thick skin, and learn from it, because when you get to do the stuff that, like as you move up, it pays off tenfold.
Absolutely.
So I guess with that, it was a pleasure meeting you, because like this is the first time we've ever talked. I feel, and just like any other guy I've never worked with before and never met, I feel like I've known you for years already, and I think we've been on this call for an hour.
Yeah.
That's how awesome this community is. And I was saying to Brenden when we lost you for a minute, I need to fly out to Dallas and come work a tournament with you guys.
There's plenty of hockey to go around here.
Oh, I know. It'd be a blast. Maybe I'll hit up Mono or maybe Z at some point, or Cavs, and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna go to Texas for a weekend."
Yeah, Lafayette's right in the middle of us.
Dude, let me tell you a little something about my last year full-time in the SPHL. I live 11 hours from Lafayette.
Oh, so normal weekend drive.
I was there at least twice a month.
Oh.
And I was supposed to be in an apartment, and then some weird stuff happened, which, whatever. So I ended up living at home in Tampa while working my last year full-time in the SB.
Yeah.
So it was 4 hours to Macon, 7 hours to Pensacola, 11 hours to Lafayette, or if I was with another guy, drive to the apartment in Georgia and either pick up Tufts or Steve-O or Neil.
Yeah.
And then we'd be on the road together for a few days.
Jeez.
But if I come, I'll be flying.
Yeah.
I ain't making that drive again.
I do not blame you.
But yeah, Lafayette's a good time. And speaking of Greco, I'm gonna have to reach out to him and get him on the podcast, because one of my all-time favorite stories involves Greco and a guy who's working in the NHL now. So a guy that we worked together with in the SP, and it was wild. I won't name any names though.
No spoilers for our next episode.
No, not at all. Not at all.
Yeah.
But with that, I guess we'll wrap it up. Again, dude, it was an absolute pleasure.
Yeah, man, I enjoyed it, every minute of it.
Awesome.
I
Well,
think,
go ahead, Brenden.
I was
Sorry,
just
I
gonna
don't wanna
say
step
thanks for
on you.
coming on, Miggins. I mean, always a pleasure to have you in and around the room, and maybe we can get you back on sometime.
I would be honored to.
Yeah,
Right.
we'll definitely have to do a part 2.
Yeah,
100%.
yeah. I'll get some stories queued up.
Perfect.
Perfect. Thanks, buddy.
Thank you, guys.
Well, everybody, we hope that you guys enjoyed listening to our conversation. Brenden, what was that like? Man, that was our first podcast together.
That was awesome, and I mean to have Miggins on as our guest, I think made it that much better. I mean, that kid could and definitely has talked to a brick wall before, so it made our lives a lot easier. And I mean, just to have a guy like that, it was awesome.
Oh, it definitely was. And like I said in the intro, I'd never met the guy before. Absolutely awesome, dude. I'm definitely going to try to get out to Dallas and work with you guys at some point. With that, I think we're going to wrap up the podcast. For Brenden, I'm Ross. Thanks for listening, and please tune in next time for the next episode of the Team Stripes podcast.
Thanks, guys.